How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing: always protect your profits. And today we're going to be taking a look at SOFI and as well as for Lucid. They both experienced pullbacks inside of the market. We're going to go over it to see what could possibly happen going into Friday. Let's start off with Lucid. So we ended up closing at $18.23, being down 1.25%. On the low, we tested $18.01, and then on the high, testing $18.60. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 10.144 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 15.793 million shares. So we had below average volume, and we also saw a pullback in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, the first thing that we want to pay attention to, we are trading below all of our major moving averages, which is the 50 EMA, the 21 EMA, and as well as for the 9 EMA. We did do this yesterday as well, and you can see from what's been happening, we did form another lower low and as well as a lower high. So it is very likely going into tomorrow we'll be testing here at this $17.80 range, which I've spoken about before. If we end up breaking through this level, then we can see Lucid wanting to come down to around $17.35 and then possibly hitting down all the way to $17.12. But again, I'd want to see a bounce off of this level, but if we don't get it, then of course Lucid will start trading in that $16 range. As far as for the bullish case scenario, if you want to see some upside, we want to have some strength above that 9 EMA. We did have a high above it. It is at $18.52, and Lucid saw a high of $18.60. So we can get back above that level and gain some more momentum and get to the 21 EMA, which is at $18.67. I think that'd be a really good look for the stock and set it up quite well going into next week. For us to see some solidified strength in Lucid to say, well, you know what, things are going to start looking good, it's going to have to find strength and support right here at that 50 EMA at $18.93. So please add that to your homework. And then of course wanting to see if it can break into that $19 range and get to that psychological area at $20. But as far as what I'm seeing going into tomorrow, if we can get a close around $18.50, I don't think that'd be a bad look whatsoever, because I'd put it right where we have the 9 EMA. So let's see what happens. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for Lucid. So scrolling down on the page, green rows indicate new positions, while red rows indicate closed positions. So when we take a look at the recent filings, we have New Millennium Group LLC that purchased 245 shares. We also have Goldman Sachs Group Inc. that went in with puts of a value of 675,500 shares, and we have Goldman Sachs Inc. that went in with a share position of just over 3.44 million shares. Now, when we take a look at the short interest, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 63.79%, and then for the off-exchange short volume, it is just over 2.67 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 1.3 million, updated 24 minutes ago, and then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 10.02%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 16th, it is at 54.96, and then for the close of the 17th, it is at 63.79. So that is a significant increase right there. And then when we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float being at 21.02%, Lucid does continue to have short squeeze potential. Let's take a look at SOFI. So it closed at $6.68, being down 2.91%. On the low, it tested $6.62, and then on the high, testing $6.96. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 38.386 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 50.935 million shares. So we ended up having below average volume on the day, and we also saw a pullback in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, we have officially filled in the gap from the downside. I've been telling you guys this for quite some time, and now that that gap is filled, it's going to be very interesting to see what SOFI does going into tomorrow, and as well as going into next week. I want to see some bulls stepping in to buy up this play and see if we can get that move back above $7. It did see a high at $6.96, so getting back to $7 would be bullish, and it also would put it above the 50 EMA, which is at $6.90, and I think that would set up SOFI very well going into next week if it's able to close at that level. If we continue to see some weakness though, then we could see SOFI testing support right here around $6.30, so I'll be watching that very closely. Since we did see a low at $6.62, it would not shock me if we had another red day, it would get down to that level. We also can't ignore the fact of the consistent trend. We have been forming some lower lows and as well as lower highs for the past 3 trading days, which is showing us that the bears are in control. But let's see if the bulls step up. I'm really looking forward to that. But if we don't get it, you guys know what it looks like to the downside. So let's see what it does going into Friday. So we're going to take a look at the recent short interest information for SOFI. So the off exchange short volume ratio is at 54.10%. And then for the off exchange short volume, it is just over 20.04 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 10 million, updated 29 minutes ago. And then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 1.20%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 16th, it is at 46.24. And then for the close of the 17th, being at 54.10. So it has gone up a bit. And then when we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float, being at 17.06%, SOFI does continue to have short squeeze potential. And that pretty much sums up the video for you guys today. So like I said, SOFI ended up filling in its gap today, so we want to see what it's going to do. We want to see if bulls are going to be stepping in as far as for tomorrow or Friday if you're catching this video the day of, and then wanting to see what it would do going into next week. If we see further weakness, this does open up opportunity for investors wanting to jump into the play, in my personal opinion. And as far as for Lucid, we are seeing some weakness in the stock, but it has been consolidating in a very tight range. But you guys know those levels to the downside to look out for. And we also have to take into consideration in regards to the small and mid caps, not a lot of them performed well today. So as far as the performance that we saw from both of these stocks, it's not surprising whatsoever. So if you're new to this channel and you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe. And if you found a lot of value in it and you found it helpful, hit the like button. I'll be talking to you guys real soon.